Welcome to issue 32 of Two-Edged Sword. If you'd like to be added to the mailing list, email hrministries@hotmail.com, and likewise if you'd like to be removed from the mailing list. In issue 29 it was mentioned that internet video would be introduced New Year, but that wasn't possible with moving from Brisbane to Toowoomba, so March is better late than never. Likewise, the front page of the hard copy of Two-Edged Sword is different in appearance now, and that will be the format from now on for those receiving it by post or by email. You'll notice I'm nervous in this video because it's the first. Anything new is always a bit nerve-wracking, but I think most of you would agree that God would rather a nervous learner than a proud professional. So bear with me and things will get smoother as we go, no doubt, over the weeks, months and years, because God's asked me to do this, so all I can do is go with the flow. The contents of this upcoming issue, 32, Bible Before Doctrine, was instigated by a simple conversation where somebody mentioned about it's a common assumption that leaven represents sin, but in fact when Jesus spoke of the kingdom of heaven is leaven, he was talking about, he meant what he said, he meant that there is a righteous leaven as well. So I got about doing the essay on leaven of heaven versus leaven of sin, just to sort of get back to the basics of what is actually meant, and then also addressing that yes, there is leaven that represents sin, but there's always a counterfeit for anything original. But starting out on that vein, I ended up getting into the topic of Luciferianism in the churches, how there are Luciferians that are infiltrating churches and twisting things around, and we need to be aware of that. I picked up an interesting book on Freemasonry by Jack Harris. He's an ex-Freemason and did a bit of an expose in this little booklet. And there's just one section I think is good to read for the introduction of this particular newsletter, because it states quite implicitly what the Luciferian doctrine believes about Lucifer being God rather than God being God, and in fact it paints God as being quite evil. And it's pretty sinister when you think this is what is underlying a lot of our religion this day and age. It's basically steeped in the occult. A lot of this entertainment and a lot of just what's coming into the church now is actually being brought in by powers of darkness, and we need to be aware, we need to be discerning. So in this book, Freemasonry by Jack Harris, he states about Albert Pike, 1809 to 1891, was born in Boston, Massachusetts. He was a teacher and a brigadier general in the Civil War. Later he was tried for treason. He held the highest office in Scottish Rite Masonry and rewrote all Scottish Rite rituals which still are practiced today. These rituals are pagan and occultic in design. Mr. Pike was an admitted Luciferian, believing that two co-equal gods exist in the universe: Lucifer, the god of good and light, and Adonai, the Christian god who rules evil and darkness. He then goes on to quote Occult Theocracy by Lady Queensborough, publisher of the Christian Book Club of America, who is reviewing these writings of Albert Pike. And they say, the religious beliefs of Albert Pike should be considered as they are found in the instructions issued by him on July 4, 1889 to the 23 Supreme Councils of the world. That which we must say to the crowd is, we worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. A couple of sentences later it says, the Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, this is talking about Freemason initiates, maintained in the purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, the God of the Christians, whose deeds prove his cruelty, perfidy, and hatred of man, barbarism, and repulsion for science, would Adonai and his priests culminate him? Yes, Lucifer is God, and unfortunately Adonai is also God, for the eternal law is that there is no light without shade, no beauty without ugliness, no white without black. For the absolute can only exist as two gods, darkness being necessary to light to serve as its foil. A bit later down it says, the doctrine of Satanism is a heresy, and the true and pure philosophic religion is the belief in Lucifer, the equal Adonai, but Lucifer, God of light and God of good, is struggling for humanity against Adonai, the God of darkness and evil. So in other words, they're saying God, who is, I have served the Lord, the living God of the Bible, all my life, except for when I've gone off into sin and suffered for it. But I know from my own life that God is good, and I know the fruit of Luciferians because they've made my life hell, and they are currently wreaking havoc in the church. And it's just pretty spooky stuff when you think that this sort of stuff is just being snuck into the church, and the majority of people are just drinking it in because they don't know. They're not studying their Bibles, they're not discerning Bereans, they're just being spoon-fed and accepting whatever comes their way. So I won't go on regarding issue 32 for this initial introductory video. I'll just let you tap into the website and have a read for yourself. If it's the first time that you're viewing this, I hope you'll find it encouraging, and that you'll want to join the mailing list and be a recipient on a bi-monthly basis of a free newsletter. The website address is www.faithlawliberty.com. Thank you.